Crystal Rose Pierce. I'm an entrepreneur, a technologist, and a philanthropist. And I'm currently the executive director of the Bitcoin Foundation. I started learning about Bitcoin in 2009, actually right after the network started, because I have run media companies. I started my first web design company when I was 16, and I grew it into a digital marketing agency. One of my developers used to run the computer overnight, and I thought he was like downloading, music on Napster or something like that. So I talked to him about it, and he was mining Bitcoin. It was the first time I ever heard about it, but I didn't really understand or could follow along with what it was until I saw the applications with the technology. So 2014, I built my first Bitcoin application, and it was an anonymous file sharing app. I started to understand the true benefits were really what was underlying. It was the ability for everything to radically change through the transparency with the ledger technology and all of the different things that could happen beyond just the store of value, which is obviously the sort of most valuable benefit for everyone. But I really opened my eyes to how this was going to radically transform our world from a technological standpoint. That's really when I got it. I was initially not intimidated by Bitcoin, but confused by it. The white paper was floated by me, several years after I first heard about it in 2009. I was, here's some educational material, but I don't think that, you can really grasp it. If you had read a document detailing what is HTML or what is SMTP, the email protocol, I don't think it would have made you understand email any better. So, if you're not a technologist, or you're not building applications and tools, I don't think that it helps you to understand how a blockchain works. And in fact, in Bitcoin, the word blockchain doesn't even exist in the white paper. The technology was built and not even named. I can see how it intimidates people now because it's something that has grown so substantially, so rapidly. And a lot of people have this concept, they say Bitcoin's very expensive, because one Bitcoin equals a lot. And it's growing constantly, but Bitcoin is also able to be fractionalized. And so you can have 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. You can divide it with 8 decimal places, which means 1 sat is worth, sub 1 penny. And you can divide it infinitely, almost. It's divisible down to less than a penny. So anyone can get Bitcoin. It's very accessible, and it's something that should be exciting and not intimidating at all, I think. Well, the future of Bitcoin is continuous growth. I think we've seen the velocity now has gotten to a point, and especially if you just look around, we're at Bitcoin 2022, which has 35,000 registered participants. To me, when I walk around Miami right now, I'm thinking of it more like crypto South by Southwest. I mean, it's truly all of the side events and all of the energy and all of the things that are going on. People are learning, they're getting educated, they're understanding more about what Bitcoin is as a financial tool. We even have here senators, candidates for governor, people who are in the government who are really pushing forward policy, people from El Salvador who have built out the first Bitcoin as legal tender and legal tender law. And really it's a global movement. So it's not slowing down. Where Bitcoin goes from here is continued velocity.
My name's Bill Bayhydt. I'm the founder and CEO of Abra, and I'm the host of Money Talks. My whole purpose for getting into the decentralized space was my conviction for the idea behind decentralization and this movement towards eliminating the need for centralized trust. Now, ironically, that means mostly governments, traditional banks, but when you get into this kind of next generation of money, Bitcoin, Ethereum, lending, borrowing, people don't know who to trust. It's very complicated. So we wanted to set up a company that was completely transparent, which is not the MO of most banks, and at the same time could handhold people into the space. So we have a lot of high net worth investors who know nothing about technology, can barely spell crypto, and they're working with kind of high-touch service providers within Abra to help them get into Bitcoin, get into Ethereum, earn interest on their crypto, borrow against the crypto now. So while we fundamentally believe that the technology is moving towards decentralization, most consumers aren't yet in a position to do this themselves. in a way that requires no central trust. Now, for a lot of our customers, knowing that they can remove their assets from Abra and take them, let's say, offline is a key selling point, because they believe in the tenets of decentralization and be your own bank, but they're not far enough along yet to be confident enough to do those types of transactions on their own. I liken it to the evolution of the internet itself in the early 90s, when the average person didn't understand how to access the internet. And the average person still doesn't understand how to access Bitcoin. What is a smart contract in Ethereum, for example? They don't understand these things. They're going to be using them eventually without necessarily understanding that they are using them. So I believe the next generation of bank accounts will be Bitcoin centric. You'll be borrowing dollars against the Bitcoin holdings in real time to spend against, and that will give everybody a permanent credit line. All right, it's because you'll basically be holding a store of wealth that you can permanently borrow against. That's the kind of future of money and banking in a very simplistic term. And there will be more sophisticated services on top, decentralized insurance and decentralized lending, and other versions of the traditional banking system built on top of most likely Bitcoin and Ethereum, but that's basically where it's going. Right now, Bitcoin is not optimized for payments. It's optimized to be hard money, right? So at Abra, we've architected a payment solution that allows you to borrow against Bitcoin holdings. You hold the appreciating asset forever. You never want to sell it because it's appreciating. You borrow in the depreciating asset, which is the dollar. You want to spend the depreciating asset and hold the appreciating asset. So the beauty of our system is, if you're holding $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, I'll lend you $150 right now for free with zero interest, okay? And you can spend that any way you want. So if you're holding $1 million, I'll lend you $150,000 for free, and so on and so on. And that's the future of payments. So if you think about places like India, right, where families pass on gold as generational wealth, right, across timelines from, and within the family, they don't access that wealth. They refer to it as generational wealth, but it literally is in a drawer or a safety deposit box being passed down from family to family. If Bitcoin becomes that generational wealth, you can actually access that wealth for payments now, the way I just described, by borrowing against it. It'll be tied to your credit card eventually, right? It'll be tied to your Apple Pay or Google Pay or Samsung Pay, and you'll simply tap, and you'll be instantly borrowing against your Bitcoin holdings. That's our theory on where this is all going.
My name is Brock Pierce, and I do everything. I try to make the biggest, most positive impact in the world however I can. And I do that through a lot of different channels. And right now my focus is, and not my area of expertise, but my focus is our system of governance, otherwise known as our government, and how to bring future sort of conversations to the table, start to address issues of incentives. It's the system that governs over us. And I'm working on figuring that out and how to improve that system. Well, I'm a Bitcoiner. This is the Satoshi white paper. I'm partners with David Bailey, whose event this is, BTC Media. I'm chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation. And so this is our biggest Bitcoin gathering in the world. And I love Miami. Bitcoin is freedom. And I think it represents financial freedom and an incorruptible system. So trustworthy that it's trustless. It represents truth. Hope, I guess, is on that list, but I would probably talk about freedom, trust, truth. I think those are the things that Bitcoin means to me. I think it means change. Bitcoin is a tool for everyone. Rich, poor, whatever your background. Bitcoin is a way to tap into the future and perhaps, You know, it's orange. It's kind of like that life preserver. It's kind of like an orange life preserver. It might save your life one day. And so you don't need to be rich to be a part of the future. It's open to everyone. It's all inclusive, right? It's open, you're invited, and it's very easy to get started. All you have to do is go buy, call it $20 worth of Bitcoin. We're English language, most of the English-speaking world can afford $20, but it doesn't need to be that. It could be two, like a $2 bill. You know, talking in dollars, that's all it takes to get started. Most people haven't gotten into Bitcoin, even though now most people have heard of it, because it looks intimidating. It looks intimidating. You're like, what is this? This tech and all these things I have to learn. No, you don't. You don't have to learn anything. All you have to say is, I'm intrigued enough that I'm willing to invest or spend $20 buying the Bitcoin pill, or what we call the orange pill. If you remember the Matrix, you got the red pill and the blue pill. What I'm offering you now is the orange pill, and it's $20. That's all you have to do is say, I'm willing to make that bet. Meaning, if you lose it all, who cares? That $20, and I have to warn you first, there is a disclaimer. There's a warning label on this. This orange pill may change your life. It may open up a door that reveals the orange block road or yellow brick road, right? And this road runs deep. It may make you start to question things that you've not questioned before. It may turn into an obsession. You know, it's going to give you a glimpse into the future and how our reality works. And so if you're really happy with the status quo, you're happy with everything as it is, keep taking your blue pill. But if you're curious and you're ready to say yes to the future, it's just $20 to get started, and it's even less if you want. It's whatever you want. And the best thing to do is make it really small. Do not go big. The smaller, the better. Because this is not an investment. This is an investment in yourself. This is an investment in your own knowing. It's an investment in your future. And if you can afford $20 to say yes to the future and begin your learning, you know, begin your journey, as long as you understand it may change your life and become an obsession, because it's kind of like going to pull back the curtain. It's going to, you know, pull back the veil. It's going to pierce the veil. It's going to like let you see, you know, beyond. You're going to start to question. And if you're really happy with your life as it is, don't do it. If everything's perfect, don't do it.
My name's Israel Wilson, and I work at a company called Snow Crash. I've witnessed the history of blockchain from its beginning. So my main area of expertise is the rise of this thing, what it means, and how you can affect change through this. I was a critical theorist of political science. I was studying at Rutgers University, and I came to understand that we had a big problem in the world, and that's that our economy is unsustainable. The current way that the economy interacts is never going to work successfully. It causes wars, poverty, famine. Like they say on the news, it's the economy, stupid. That's the reason why we have a bad system for, you know, if we want to move humanity forward. And so I started doing all these alternative currency experiments. And then maybe the third experiment was Bitcoin. And so I read the Bitcoin white paper on Reddit in our same little community of anarchists. They passed around this white paper, and the white paper said a peer-to-peer digital currency not issued by a centralized authority. And that first sentence of the Bitcoin white paper really just showed me, oh, finally we might have a solution, because the big solution is that our currency that most people interact with to exchange value is distributed by a valueless entity, a centralized authority that prints up and then distributes that value without creating any value. And so that was my initial entry into the thing. And then over the years, I began to explore all the other parts and understand how these things were engineered and built, and how they would impact society in other ways. The first sentence of the Bitcoin white paper, a peer-to-peer digital currency not issued by a centralized authority. That was, before that I was hopeless. Before that and really even in that time I was still hopeless. And because we cannot solve the world's problems and interact with each other the way that we are. Money can't work, the banking system can't work, it's unsuccessful. We've reached the max potential that human beings can. Right now we can't build the pyramids, we can't build the Great Wall of China, we can't do any of that because it costs too much. We're not moving towards a green energy because of the cost related to it, because of the way society is structured. It's better. Companies are even they are pushed. They have an obligation to their investors to get profit no matter what. So if the fine is less than the profit, then their obligation is to do something illegal, take the fine, and do something that hurts the environment, take the fine, because they have to deliver on profits to their shareholders. And what Bitcoin is just a ledger system. So we had this dual ledger system, this profit and loss system. It was started by the Knights Templar. You used to go to a temple and you would give them your gold. They would give you a piece of paper, and then you take that piece of paper to the next station. You would either add to it profit, or you would take from it loss, and that ledger system, that dual ledger system, built the entirety of the world's economy. Now we have another ledger system. So that's why Bitcoin is hope, because we have a ledger system that we don't have to depend on human beings to enforce. And we can build, and with that, Bitcoin and really blockchain and smart contracts, Ethereum really delivered on that promise of greater hope through smart contracts, allowing us to interact in a way that can move us forward without us actually having to trust each other or agree with each other. Bitcoin, for the first time, like, we don't have anything else in this country that's really been as bipartisan as crypto and Bitcoin. So Bitcoin gave us hope because blockchain, with these linked blocks of data that are always linked in sequence, that cannot be counterfeit, there cannot be a double spend, this ledger system allows us to build fairer systems that police themselves.
My name is Dr. Lene Martin, and I am the founder and director of blockchain at Pepperdine University. You know, Pepperdine's progressive and very open and innovative anyway, but they really just embraced what can this do for our students in terms of getting them ready for the marketplace of tomorrow. Even Forbes had said that these are really the super jobs of tomorrow. No longer is blockchain just going to live in the IT department of a company or a corporation or an organization. It's going to span across all the different sectors, whether it's marketing, operations, strategy, finance. It's all going to be involved. So it's rolling out differently than normal technologies would, which means that it's just going to impact everyone at some point. We recently also set up a blockchain technology club, appropriately called BTC for short, and the students are really getting involved in these projects because they always ask, well, I've learned something now, so that education layer, and I want to be ready for my ideal job, my dream job, I want to be employed, but what's always missing is that middle layer of experience. How do I get that experiential learning? And that's really what I hope that we bring to those students, is this opportunity to partner with other projects or be little venture capitalists themselves and really start to incubate their ideas and help them, providing those resources that they need when they need them.
My name is Joyous
Stanley, Huntsman.
and we're with Home Communities. I'm not the best case study because I've always been a bit of an outlier, a little bit of a maverick. I learned how to put the suit on, go into the meetings, use the right vernacular to be able to interface with the world as it was. But it never really felt like home. And so the moment I tapped in with the blockchain community, I was like, all right, finally, people who are willing to show up in Burning Man attire and speak at the highest financial echelons, you know, have the prowess to understand the economics of what's moving things on a macroeconomic level, and they don't care how people perceive them or what they're wearing. And that, to me, that authenticity, that lights me up. And so it was a very easy transition to dress, you know, however I pleased and speak authentically as soon as I realized that there was enough people in the financial sector and in other ancillary sectors that connect into blockchain, like in governance and real estate, that were willing to make that cultural shift. So it's been a really exciting experience.
The price of greatness is responsibility. The price of greatness, responsibility, your ability to respond. You know, you look at the great ones, what do? They took responsibility. They responded responsibly. The greatest ones, that's what they're doing. You take the response. Those are the ones that are, that are the ones that are moving forward, that are moving the bar, that are making the change, that are doing it. Why? Because they stepped up and they took responsibility for their actions, and it resonated, and it is the new bar. We're going to look back now and say, well, wow, what is this? We're going to be like, yeah, this will be antiquated here. Our kids will be going, oh, what were they doing, those transactions, all that? It'll just be, no telling what it'll be by the time our kids are.
And he spoke to inclusivity, which is another, that's the piece that integrates for community for me. What I really love about the Bitcoin and overall cryptocurrency blockchain community is it is so inclusive. And you can have people from so many backgrounds and so many sectors that play together, that work together, that are willing to share and meet. And it's such a different cultural paradigm than what was before the last, little over a decade in this space, because you'd see people in very tight little niches and cliques, socially, professionally, personally. And I think that's all shifting. There's a catalyzation of people really coming together. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, and with that, of a scarcity mentality, and of a really a cutthroat separation, which with this new DeFi and technology, it's abundance. It's unlimited. Just like nature. You cut open a fruit and the fruit has how many seeds in it? Thousands of different seeds. There's just abundance and just abundance. What kind of return can give you thousands of return on its
Good
product?
ROI.